Just thought I'd do a quick documentation of dirtying my 20-gallon tank. This used to be my fry tank where I raise my Congo tetras. But since they're all grown up and moved out of it, I'm going to convert it to a planted tank for my bumblebee gobies. They're living in a 5-gallon now and I want to give them more room. So I'm just reusing some old dirt that I was raising worms in. I'm just going to put that in there. This dirt is just plain black soil, like I said, repurposed from some worm cultures that I had going that didn't go very well, so I thought I'd reuse the dirt. Everything in this tank is just going to be stuff that I had lying around, extra stuff. I was going to shut this tank down completely, but I decided to put my bees into it because they can always use more room. And I was going to actually throw this dirt out, but why waste good dirt when I can dirt my 20-gallon? Now I'm going to add some clay. This is again just leftover stuff that I had from dirtying my 125-gallon. So I'm just going to add a little bit of that. I didn't actually measure how much clay this is, but I'll probably add about this much. I'll test it out, see how it goes. I'm just going to ball it up and stick it through the soil this time. Okay, I didn't use all the clay that I was planning to. I still have about this much left. I'll just save it for later if I happen to do another tank. And as you can see, I just stuck pieces of clay through. I really should have put the clay in first, thinking about it. I find it clouds up less when the clay's on the bottom, but I decided I'm going to add these Job's plant sticks, not because I need them, but because as you can see the bottom of them got wet and they're real clumpy, and rather than throw them out I'm going to just use them in here. I actually use them in my other tank for my root feeders when I find my root feeders are looking sad, and they work great. So I probably won't add the whole pack though, just the ones that have been wetted. Just snap those up and threw them in. Probably going to have a lot of crypts in this tank, so they should use that up. And now that's probably all I'm going to add. I'm not going to add anything else to this tank. I'm just going to tap it off. Here's my two types of choices of tapping material. I have this, which is a pretty small gravel, and I have this, which is play sand. Both of these are left over from other tanks. I think I'm going to go with the play sand for two reasons. This, number one reason, I really like this for spawning. It's just, it looks nice, and it's big enough that the eggs fall through it. And I've never done a dirt tank with gravel before, and I'm really scared of leakage, even though I think this would be fine for it. And the other reason for using the play sand is because the bees are very fussy eaters and they'll only eat frozen foods. And I just don't want the foods falling down in between this before the bees have a chance to eat it. So I'm going to go with play sand. Plus I use play sand in my other tanks and I have really good success with it. So this is what I'm going to go with. Now, if you're the type of person that doesn't like to see the dirt and sand layer, you can pull this back a little bit and fill the front in with sand. But I probably won't bother with that this time, or maybe I will actually. I'll probably pull it back a little bit. Not that I mind the look of dirt. As you can see in this 20-gallon, it does look a little bit messy, and I have a really deep substrate in that, so this tank here is going to be torn down soon, hopefully. Now the glass is still pretty dirty, but I did pull the dirt back here and on this side, since these are my two viewing sides, and I'm just going to leave this side and this side. I don't mind if you can see the dirt through those two sides. And as you can see, I don't have too much dirt in here, just about that much. It's a little deeper to the sides here. But yeah, it's not very deep at all. But that's what I had, so that's what I'm going to use. Now I'm going to cap it. Okay, I started out first by filling in the edges that I want it to fill in, and this is repurposed sand, so it's kind of clumpy, but the clumps come out. And there, now I've filled in these two sides. I'll go on to the rest. I forgot to mention this part, but as you can see, the dirt here is obviously wet. It's not wet enough that the dirt floats at all, but it's nice and clumpy. And I just use a cup to pour the sand on. Don't want to mess with trying to use your hands to pick up fine sand. Alright, here it is. I've capped it with the sand. Looks so nice and soft in there. I put a bit of a slope here, not enough to really notice, but because of my Cory cats and all my other tanks, I've never been able to keep anything but a very level surface, so just kind of put a little hill in there. We'll see if it doesn't flatten out by the time I'm done planting it. But there, and put my finger through there. Still not that deep, doesn't even go, it's about that deep. Everything capped over. Deep enough should be for the plants to root nicely. Now I'm going to start planting. I'm just going to use a bunch of old plants that I had, extras that I had, but I'm not going to try and do really anything fancy with this. Because the bees are so hard to feed, I'm going to plant the back and I'm going to leave the front open so that I'm able to clean up easily any food that doesn't get eaten. First plant in is going to be some crypts with some nice big roots on them. They should really appreciate this soil. I'm going to add this foul. As you can see, there's hardly anything left of it. It mostly melted away with the last move, but it still has some really good roots on it. You can see it down there. So I'll plant it and see what happens with it. This plant naturally grows really well for me, and I've had tanks taken over with it before, so I wouldn't actually be surprised if this one takes off now. Alright, I thought it was time to add some water in here. Things are pretty dry. When adding water to a dirty tank, it's very important to do it very carefully, because this is the time when you can make the biggest mess. How I do it, I just lay my hand flat on the substrate and pour the water slowly onto my hand. And that works pretty good, as you can see. I didn't make much mess. It's going to need a couple water changes though to get all that little debris out of there. Here's my messy bucket of plants. I've got a bacopa here. If I can... There's bacopa, I got some windy fern, some ortala. I'm just gonna throw them all in there in as neat a pile as I can. Okay, I added a few more plants. If you can see, I have mostly crypt, I think it's crypt windy green. This is another plant that does super good for me. I was actually growing it in a plain old cup of sand, and it was growing really good. So it likes to take over, and I really don't mind if it takes over in this tank. The bees will probably like it. And down here, I have a bucket full of, I think it's Windelov fern. And I don't really have anything to tie that on, so I might just let it float for now. The fish will enjoy the cover. Because I'm much too lazy to fill up a 20 gallon by hand, I hooked up my gravel vac, and it's going to be interesting to see what this tank looks like when it's full. I don't imagine it's going to be anything nice to look at, but it will make the bees happy. Now, as you've probably noticed, it's right in front of a window. I've actually had tanks in front of this window for a long time and never had any problem with it. This window doesn't get a lot of hot light anyways, and this tank previously was just, I do have a light on this tank, but it's only used for viewing at night, and otherwise the plants grow by sunlight, and it works really well, so I'm going to stick with it. So you can see there's a pile of Windelov fern there. That will float because it's not tied down to anything. And there's their shell. Here's the little bees that are going to be going up in the 20-gallon. Their tank was not this empty before. Like I said, I've robbed everything out of it. But they've been pretty happy down in this 5-gallon, so I think they'll be super happy in the 20-gallon. There's 5 of them in here. It's almost filled. It's getting there. As I thought, it does look pretty pathetic, but it will grow in. And the light is making it impossible to see anything. It's pretty cloudy as well, as was expected. Tried to shove as many of the Windelov ferns down into there as I could. I didn't plant them. I just mushed them in. I didn't care for the look of them floating. I find they're too bulky to look good floating. I'm probably going to add the bees into this after the temperature gets okay. I've added fish to a newly dirted tank before, but I had a lot more plants than this. So I hope it goes okay. I think it should go okay. All my filters are cycled, and they've been this tank was actually running just before, and then I just decided to pull it down and redirt it. So I think the bees should be fine in it. I'll have to really keep an eye on them though. I only have a 5 to 15 gallon filter on this, even though it's a 20 gallon. But as it was a fry tank, I didn't want too much flow, and now I'll see how the bees do with this one, because they don't care for too much flow either. So it should work out fine. Adding the first little bee. He does not want to get out of the net. Come on, buddy. Still in there. Come on. There we go. They haven't had this much space or sunlight in a long time. That's my big female. She's a little stressed out. But she'll learn to like it soon enough. The other inhabitant in this tank is going to be a albino bristlenose pleco named Pickle. She looks like she has long fins, but she's a mix of short fin and long fin. The reason I'm putting her in here is because she's actually a baby that was born in my tank. So if she seems to outgrow this 20 gallon, then I'll move her. But right now I'm going to leave her in here for algae control and so that she can grow up. She actually just barely came out of this tank. She was growing up with the fry that were in here. Her fins are a little tattered. I think someone may have been picking on her, so hopefully they'll grow back in. I don't think the bees will bother her at all. And I'll put some cucumber up here for her since this tank is cleaned of algae now. They're out exploring the whole tank now, so didn't take them long to get settled in. Very active. And there's little bitty Pickle. And here's the finished tank. Everything's settled. Everything's settled now. There's still some bubbles on the back though. Got some dwarf sage there. Rotala. Actually have a little piece of Ludwigia Brevipes. It does really good in my other low-tech tank, so I'll see how it does in this one. Some Bacopa. I think that's Water Sprite, Winterloaf Fern, and some Crips. I was going to feed these guys, but I just realized in such a big tank it might take them a while to figure out where to gather. As you can see, they're spread out. There's one back there. So, but they learn to come. I feed them by turkey baster and they learn to come to that pretty well, so they'll figure it out. He's got his color all back. Nice and yellow.